It has been a busy day for the San Francisco 49ers as they just signed former Pro Bowl offensive tackle DJ Humphries, most likely to come in to be the swing tackle. We'll talk a little bit more about that and his fit into the San Francisco 49ers offensive line room. Obviously, George Kittle signed a 4-year contract today. And I also want to touch on who is going to be the backup plan for Malik Mustapha. What are the 49ers going to do with that situation? I haven't had an opportunity to address it yet. So we're going to talk about it all right now. But you guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. And we're going to get into it all right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 49ers heard you loud and clear. Where are the offensive linemen? Well, they go to a veteran presence to be able to fill in for Jalen Moore. I did think that the San Francisco 49ers were going to go after a swing tackle in the NFL draft. They ultimately did not come away with one. However, they did come away with Connor Colby out of Iowa, who will most likely be a guard or center. So the tackle situation was a bit of an interesting one, especially with the fact that is Spencer Burford slated to be a tackle? It is starting to feel that way. Now, when the 49ers drafted Spencer Burford in the 4th round out of UTSA, he was a tackle. He had played guard, but the idea for him was to play guard at the next level. Well, last year in an emergency scenario, the San Francisco 49ers ran out of offensive linemen. So they had no other choice but to put Spencer Burford at tackle, and he actually held up decently well. Wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but was serviceable. So when we look at the 49ers offensive line, if we're going to project out right now, if we're going to say this is what the starting offensive line is going to look like today, I think you would have to say Trent Williams at tackle, of course. And then you also, I would say, are going to have Ben Barch at guard because of what Ben Barch was able to show. And even though he just started one game or started 2 games, but only made it about halfway through the second game before having the pile fall on him and leave due to injury. And then he wasn't able to return the rest of the season. I do expect that Ben Barch will have a good shot at cracking the starting lineup. As it stands right now, Jake Brendel will probably be your starter unless he is pushed by Connor Colby, Nick Zakel, Matt Hennessy, Drake Nugent, potentially even Drew Moss, an undrafted free agent that the San Francisco 49ers brought in. And at the right side, you're going to have Dominic Pooney at right guard, and then you're going to have Colton McKivitz. I don't look at the DJ Humphries signing as a guy who's going to come in and start over Colton McKivitz. I look at DJ Humphries, who was a former first-round draft pick in 2015 and a Pro Bowl player in 2021. I expect him to be the swing tackle. That's the way that I'm kind of looking at this. With DJ Humphries, at the end of 2023 in December, he actually tore his ACL. So he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs last year, but he only got 2 starts. And so he didn't play all that much. And he is kind of up there in his career. He is 31 years old, but he has a ton of snaps logged under his belt. He has played a considerable amount of football, over 6,500 snaps in total, and 4,135 of those were pass blocking reps. So he's definitely a guy that I think can fill that swing tackle role as it stands right now. Um, but I am curious about this one. I also have some tape that we could pull up to kind of look at because I was also curious as well. I haven't seen this guy play in a while. He only played in a couple of games last year. So this just gives us a quick snapshot of what to expect from DJ Humphries. And from what I could see, this looks like one of the games at the end of the year, and he's going to be he's going to be a great addition to the room, especially for some of the younger guys. You think of going anywhere, but you can just see based on kind of looking at some of those reps, and he's still he can still do it. He can still do it. Might not be at the highest level that he used to be able to, but the 49ers address a need, and that need was a swing tackle because, as we know, it's kind of like they swapped with the Chiefs. Jalen Moore goes over to the Chiefs, and San Francisco 49ers get DJ Humphries. So I'm curious. What do you guys feel about this move in the chat? You liking this move? You feel like this was a good signing? Do you feel like the San Francisco 49ers really needed to go out and make a move of this caliber to go out and get a offensive lineman who has a ton of experience and is a guy that could definitely fill in a pinch if there are injuries or anything else to consider? Again, I think it's a solid move for a swing tackle. A guy, we've seen it in the past. I think of some of the guys they've had before. Matt Pryor was in here. He didn't really play all that much. I think of Tom Compton. You remember when, who was it? McGlinchey went down, I think with a torn patella tendon, and Tom Compton comes in. Actually, it was Jalen Moore who went in at right tackle. Didn't play all that well. Actually got benched in that game and against the Jaguars. I think it was like in 2020. So that's a 2021 season. Man, that's that feels so long ago now. But Tom Compton came in, actually played really well. So I think it's a decent start, a decent fit for the San Francisco 49ers. Again, in regards to being a swing tackle, I don't think Colton McKivitz is going to be giving up that job. I know a lot of 49er fans want to replace Colton McKivitz, but I actually think, I'll go out. I don't know if this is a bold take or not or whatever. I do think that this next season is going to be the best season that we have seen yet of Colton McKivitz. I think that he took a substantial jump from year 1 to year 2, and I think year 2 to year 3 is going to have him in a pretty decent category. I'm not saying that I think Colton McKivitz is going to be a top 10 right tackle in this league. I'm going to say he's going to creep up, though. I'm going to say he's going to be knocking at that door. He's going to be in that territory. And I know that's not popular to say. I know I'm sure there's probably already DMing me right now about how insane I am to even say that. But I do believe Colton McKivitz is going to take a step forward into his third year locked down as the right tackle. I do think he will get better next year. And I think it will be something that's going to take fans to kind of, like, we've talked so badly about McKivitz for so long that he's actually playing all right. So that's the way that I see it playing out. But as it stands right now, the 49ers have, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 17 offensive linemen currently on the roster. So we'll see. I know I think there's two positions that fans complain about the most: right tackle and center. Now, Connor Colby, could he be a guy who pushes Jake Brendel? Maybe. I would probably doubt it. I think the most that Brendel will get pushed is from Nick Zakel. Honestly, Nick Zakel and Jake Brendel are kind of very similar in stature and play style. So I would say Nick Zakel has the biggest chance to push Jake Brendel. I would say Matt Hennessy has the biggest chance to push Jake Brendel. And I think Austin Pleasance is a wild card. I don't really know where to fit Austin Pleasance, but I think Austin Pleasance could also be in competition for that left guard spot. I think Ben Barch is going to have a strong opportunity to play that left guard spot, but I think Austin Pleasance, I mean, we signed him off the streets and threw him into the starting lineup. He actually looked okay, like surprise, like better than I anticipated. So I'm very curious to see what Austin Pleasance looks like with a full offseason with the team, being able to understand the playbook. We're going to have some competitions. I really do believe it. I think we're going to have competitions at left guard. I think we're going to have competitions at center. I don't think Colton is going to be in a competition with anyone, but you never know unless someone really shows up and plays really well. But I still think there will be competitions at those two interior spots. So that's going to be really fun for training camp because, as you guys know, when I get to training camp, that's the first thing I want to know. I want to know who's competing on the O-line and what do those competitions look like. And I do believe if Feliciano was healthy last year, I do think him and Brendel would have been fighting it out for that starting job. But unfortunately, that knee injury for Feliciano just it never healed. And it was something that he had to deal with, and we just never really got to see him all that much after that moment. So it is what it is. Shout out to Feliciano, though. Tommy says Jake Brendel is. I'm sorry. I know the 49er fans, man, when 49er fans don't like an offensive lineman on their team, boy, they let them know. Oh my gosh. I mean, the best case scenario for Jake Brendel is that he takes I'm curious if he was dealing with injuries last year. I am curious. I think that may have been something that he was going through. But we'll see. We'll see. I know that Jake Brendel definitely did, in my opinion, take a step back last year from what he has done in recent memory. Obviously, 49er fans have seen that. And so we'll see. We'll see what the 49ers plans are at center moving forward. I guess we've already talked about it on the channel a little bit, unless we want to stick on the offensive line at all. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to stay on the O-line, or do you want to kind of move around to some other things that I got on the docket today? I'm excited though for Ben Barch. I think Ben Barch could really take a step forward and earn some money for sure heading into this next season. I'm intrigued by Connor Colby and see what he's going to be about. But and I'm curious to see what Matt Hennessy looks like as well, and Drake Nugent. So there's going to be some very interesting battles on that O-line coming up. But again, I think the biggest news of the day was 49ers George Kittle signing a 4-year, $76.4 million contract. Whoo! George Kittle got paid. How are we feeling about that, ladies and gentlemen? Obviously, it happened early this morning, I guess, depending on what coast you live on. But if you're on the West Coast, you woke up to this news, and it was great news open your eyes to. I was super excited to see it, and just really happy, man. Like seeing George Kittle get what he deserves. When I think of what it means to be a San Francisco 49er right now under this current regime, I think of like two guys. I think of Fred Warner. I think of George Kittle. Fred Warner, your defensive captain, leader. George Kittle, your offensive captain, leader. Both of those two together combining to be team leaders, locker room tone setters, energy guys. I love everything that they stand for. And so I'm super, super excited that George Kittle is here to stay. He is the best tight end in the NFL. I don't want to hear it. This hasn't been anything new to me. I've been saying George Kittle has been the best tight end in the NFL since that 2018 season where he broke the record for most yards in a season by a tight end. Not because I didn't think Travis Kelce was any good, but because when you truly evaluate the position of tight end, what are the two main attributes that are required to play the position? Not only receiving, but blocking. George Kittle has been the most dominant blocker from the tight end position that I've seen in a long time. And that was a scouting report on him coming out. But the crazy thing about him, and I love it, his dad was a former Iowa offensive lineman. He instilled that mentality, the hog mentality, to the tight end position, and this guy was scrawny. This guy played safety in high school. I think he was a receiver in high school too. And he developed into a tight end and wasn't super utilized in the passing game at Iowa. But he developed as one of the top blockers in the league. And as a result of that, or at least in college, he became one of my favorite prospects. Because as you guys know, if you watch this channel and you're familiar with the way that I talk ball, if you're a skill position and you block at a very high level, instant key to my heart. Here you go, pal. There you go. Take it. Just don't hurt me. Because I love, like, you think of Jawan Jennings, you think of Brandon Ayuk, you think of guys who are supposed to be known for getting the football, but when they don't have the football, they still impact the play because it's a team sport, right? It's 11 on 11. And when you don't have the ball, man, you better be blocking. You better be downfield doing what you got to do. George Kittle is always one of those guys. And that's what I love about having him still in the fabric of the San Francisco 49ers organization is that's going to continue. You see JJ, absolute dog when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that the 49er fan base loves it as well. Right? Because we can look at the splash plays and the touchdowns and the long runs and we love all of that stuff. But man, when these guys are selfless and they go out and they block for one another, sheesh, it gets me hyped. It gets me going. And so George Kittle is the epitome of that, in my opinion. That's why, to me, he's always been the best tight end. I mean, I've been bullish on George for a long time. I remember, I think it was, I had seen enough of him as a rookie that I did on my all-time favorite like Niners list. So quarterback, running back, fullback, O-line, tight end. I did this post on Instagram on my story, and you just kind of list the guys that you think were the best or your favorite. And I remember, I think it was heading into year 2 of Kittle's career, something like that. Like, he was still super fresh. At tight end, I put Kittle over Vernon Davis. I got so much heat from 49er fans saying, "You're picking George Kittle over Vernon Davis?" I was like, "Yeah. Yeah, it's not even a question either. Not even a question either." Like Hendricks says, Vernon Davis still my number one. I love Vernon. I love VD. Nah, Kittle instantly vaulted to the top of being my number one tight end with the San Francisco 49ers. And I was bullish on it. Bullish. I think I even met on, Javi had me on his podcast back in the day. I think he asked me this question, like, who's the better 49ers tight end? And this was, again, early on in his career. He's Vernon Davis or George Kittle. And I was like, George Kittle. He's like, you're crazy. I was like, am I? Am I though? Am I really crazy, or do I just have this innate ability to look into the future a little bit and kind of see what happens? Hendrick says the playoff game against the Saints holds a special place for me. Last drive was chef's kiss. Oh, of course. Of course. I think I got Vernon's right there in that photo. I mean, no one is not thinking about that impact of that play in recent 49er memory. Man, I think if you're around my age, even if you're older, but you were of your football mind was developed enough to understand the impact of that 2011 divisional round playoff game against the Saints. Dude, you know how crazy that game was, especially after all the years of agony that had led up to it. Because the 49ers had no success. No success. I'm 35, so I didn't remember the last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl. I think I was 6. I think I was 6 years old. 5 years old. 5 years old? No. Freshly 5. I think I was freshly 5.5. That's where I was. I think it was 5.5 when the 49ers last won the Super Bowl. I didn't know what the heck was going on. What's a Super Bowl? I don't know. I wanted to play with my Power Rangers. Like, so for my life and what I've experienced, that Saints game was peak. It was peak 49ers football for me. Because up until that Saints game, I had never experienced that as a 49ers fan, because we had some moments with Jeff Garcia, but I wasn't like a like super fan at that point. I was still a young kid. And that time when, right before Harbaugh showed up, like, I think tail end of the Nolan years is when I really started becoming like a big fan. I was always a fan of the Niners, but like wanting to know all the moves, wanting to know who they're going to draft, who are they signing in free agency. That really didn't happen for me until around the Nolan era. So then it was like, experiencing the end of the Nolan era, then the Singletary era, and then Harbaugh comes in. Harbaugh's from Stanford, so being from the Bay Area, we were already Harbaugh guys, and that moment was just such peak. It was peak 49ers for me. Obviously, it didn't go well after that. And we got to the Super Bowl, but we weren't able to get over the mountaintop. But of course, Vernon Davis played a key role in that as well. But still, for me, I got Kittle at the top. That's a long-winded way of saying I respect Vernon Davis. I respect his impact. I respect what he was for the San Francisco 49ers. Absolute freak of nature as an athlete. I still got George Kittle at the top. Kittle will always be at the top for me because, again, I felt he played the position of tight end, blocking and receiving at its peak. He's elite in both categories. So when you're elite in both, top. So I'm hyped though. I'm really hyped that George Kittle got paid. I remember Brent Jones. I remember watching Brent Jones. Brent Jones was really good. Delaney Walker was a dog as well. You can't forget Delaney, bro. Like, even Delaney, if he had the opportunity, that same opportunity, he could have been a dog as well. Earlier, he was a dog when he was with us, but he was in Vernon's shadow. Then he went to Tennessee and thrived as a tight end one. But Delaney was a dog too, man. I enjoyed Delaney. Vance McDonald. I was not a Vance McDonald guy. I'm not gonna lie. I had Vance McDonald as a bust. I did. He was one of those guys where I turned on the tape. That was when I first started getting into like NFL draft coverage and breaking down prospects. And I remember watching Vance McDonald coming out of Rice. And I have a Insta bust tag that I will give to certain prospects where I'm like, that guy's a bust. Like, he's just a bust. I tagged him with the Insta bust. 49ers took him in the second round. I was like, oh my gosh. That's where I think that's where me and Balky really started to not see eye to eye on certain things. But anyways, I digress. I love the fact that George Kittle is here. You look at the 49ers tight end room. I mean, you got Kittle. The 49ers signed Luke Farrell to a 3-year deal this offseason. Jake Tonges made the roster last year, but you also got Braden Willis there. You got Mason Pline there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 49ers add an additional tight end. I feel like they could use another. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens there, but I do think the 49ers would benefit from having an additional tight end in that room. More of a move style tight end, I would think. A guy who can provide a threat in the passing game, because I feel like with Kittle and Farrell and like guys like Pline and Tonges, Braden Willis, if Braden Willis can take a massive jump next year, that would be ideal. That would really be a big thing for the San Francisco 49ers. But I do want to talk about something that I haven't talked about yet. I was actually flying home from the NFL draft when this news broke. I was sitting on the plane. I got my Wi-Fi up, and I see this report from Nick Wagner. And Nick Wagner is saying Malik Mustapha tore his ACL during the final game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. And I was like, what? Malik Mustapha has a torn ACL right now? And then, so there wasn't a definitive timeline. It's not definitive, but it does sound like he may miss a portion of the season, whether that's returning around midseason, maybe in the first quarter of the season. But it does sound like Malik Mustapha will miss some time. And I know that this was a huge blow to a lot of 49er fans because we have all operated under the same assumption that Malik Mustapha is about to take a monumental leap from year 1 to year 2. So it was, I think, a pretty substantial surprise considering how long ago that Arizona Cardinals game was. So this has been information that they've known throughout free agency, throughout the draft, and just after the draft, boom. Malik Mustapha is recovering from a torn ACL, an injury that he had previously had, re-aggravated it, re-injured it, and tore his ACL. Now, ACL injuries, I don't think are injuries that we are like scared about anymore. I think you just have to, I think the technology when it comes to repairing ACLs seems pretty good. You just have to make it through that rehab process. And everyone kind of reacts to the rehab a little bit differently. And so I don't know. I think it would be wise to set the expectation to a little bit later in the year so that if he does return early in the season, it's like, oh, this found money, right? But even so, I feel terrible for Malik. I saw some of his posts after it and just like, dude, injuries are one of the worst things, for these players. They work so hard and they put so much time and effort and money into their bodies, their diets. Oh, it's their job. It's their job to maintain their physical health, right? We always talk about it. The best ability is availability. And it's just it stinks, man, because we were all just, I think, locked in on the notion that big year 2 coming from Malik Mustapha. Now, that doesn't mean that can't happen. It just means there's a bit of a speed bump in the road. So the question becomes, if he does miss time, who will step in? Who will be that guy? And this, obviously, Jair Brown. I think Jair Brown, we were under the impression he was going to be headed into a competition. Like, I think Jair, I love the makeup. I love the guy. I think Jair is so solid in who he is and his presence that I do believe that if the game slows down for him a little bit and he starts seeing it more clear, faster, he'll be fine. I do think Jair Brown could be a good player. I just think he's been shaky up until this point, a little bit inconsistent, getting it, having his eyes caught in the backfield, maybe taking, not the best angles to the football, things like that. Those are all correctable things as long as he continues to work on it. So it does feel like Jair Brown maybe has a more clear path to starting than maybe we anticipated. But I think the player that becomes a huge focal point with this potential injury is Jason Pinnock. The 49ers signed him in free agency. He was with, I think he signed with the New York Jets originally as an undrafted free agent. When Saleh was there, Saleh talked him up as a rookie. And then they didn't keep him on the final 53. He gets picked up by the Giants and has some decent success with the Giants. Becomes a starter. So when I look at who is going to be the guy that is going to step in for Malik if he does miss some time, I think it's going to be Jason Pinnock. Um, I'm also I liked Richie Grant coming out of college, coming out of UCF. That was my first credentialed event I had ever covered, the Senior Bowl in 2021, and Richie Grant was one of my favorite players from that week. And one of the reasons why is because you could see he is an athlete. He is fast. He could play outside corner. He could play safety. He could play nickel. He really put on a huge showcase at the Senior Bowl that led him to being a second round draft pick. Now, he didn't have that same level of success with the Falcons. I think even last year he went as far as to getting benched and playing primarily special teams. But I'm not sleeping on Richie Grant. Like, I'm really not. Again, he's an athlete. I've seen what he is capable of. And if he takes to this system, if he can rebuild his confidence, and I'm not sleeping on Richie Grant. I'm not projecting him right out the gate to be the guy who's going to step in and play a big role. But I'm very, very interested to see what Richie Grant can do in training camp. And then, of course, the 49ers drafted a safety, Marquise Siegel. And one of the things that stands out with Marquise is he is an athlete. He is explosive. Honestly, like, he's a sub 4.4 guy. Jumps out the gym. I mean, he is smooth. He is a smooth athlete, and I'm talking about play style. Like, not just, we've seen a lot of guys who can run fast, jump out the gym and be terrible at football. But my first impression of him is I'm very interested in it. It definitely felt like a reach when the pick came across, but after kind of looking at it a little bit further, like, yeah, they drafted an athlete. This guy is much different than kind of the archetype of safety that they have had in the past, i.e. Jair Brown, i.e. Talanoa Hufanga. Um, he was a good athlete. The other thing to also keep in mind, Upton Stout has safety ability. He could play safety. He could play nickel. He could play multiple different roles in that defense. So I would say Jason Pinnock is the guy who has the clear path to become the 49ers starter right out the gate. If Malik Mustapha is expected to miss some time. But I also do believe that there are other options who could step in and play well. So, very interested to see how this shakes out, how long Malik is out, and who will actually be the one to step in. Someone said, is Malik Mustapha the same type? I mean, Malik Mustapha is a good athlete. Malik tested in the 98th percentile in vertical. So you talk about jumping out the gym, 41.5 vertical. That's crazy. He was in the 98th percentile now. That's insane. His bench, 22 reps, 89th percentile. Broad jump, 126 inches, 81 percentile. His 40, though, was a 4.52. That had him in the 67th percentile. So maybe not straight line speed, but the game speed is there. And the dude could freaking jump. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Like this is an interesting class, the draft class that is, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out because they potentially got 5 starters on defense, maybe 6 if somehow Marquise jumps into that lineup. Um, so it's going to be interesting. Is Justin Simmons currently available right now out there on free agency? Because before I felt like the 49ers are probably in a pretty decent spot. But with the news that Malik Mustapha is injured, maybe there is a chance. So you guys are saying he is a free agent. I mean, he played great last year. And I think he's been a super underrated safety the whole time he's been in the league. And again, you have a pretty young room for the most part. Maybe it would be worth it. I don't know. I would give him a call. I would see if he'd be willing to come through. Obviously, probably sign a 1-year deal, nothing too crazy. And you could kind of feel comfortable with one of those spots and kind of insulate yourself because you never know. Guys like Malik sometimes, I don't knock on wood, will suffer a setback or something like that. So I don't know. I am curious. I would definitely pick up the phone, but that's the way that I'm kind of looking at it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I'll open it up to you guys for a couple questions. If you've got any, let you drive the topics. Do you guys want to talk rookies? I gotta put out more rookie content though for sure. Since I got back from the draft. So I haven't spoken too much about the rookies since the draft. But I think the 49ers absolutely dominated their plan. I think they had a clear vision of what holes needed to be plugged, as we all kind of saw. But they went after and they had a clear vision and they plugged the holes. And I like it. Who is my favorite pick of this draft? Ooh, that is a good one. I gravitate towards the defensive line. I've been so hyper focused on the defensive line through these mock drafts. I know you guys have seen it. A lot of people yell at me about my lack of taking offensive line because I was dead set on rebuilding the defense. And the 49ers did that. So for me, I really like the combo. I would say the combination of Alfred Collins and CJ West together are my favorite pick because, yes, in a vacuum, you could pick Collins, you could pick West, but these are two guys that are going to be playing next to each other. These are two guys that are going to be doing stunts. They're going to be looping. They're going to be playing together on that defensive line. And the combination of CJ West and Alfred Collins playing together excites me. CJ West, obviously, I think many fans already understand this. He is an underrated prospect. He's a guy that I took in my mock draft 4.0 in the 4th round, same round that the San Francisco 49ers took him because he is like DJ Jones. That's what I wrote in my description. I said CJ West is a DJ Jones archetype. a guy who can get after the passer in the pass game from the interior. He's got moves. He's got good first step get off, and he can put together a pass rush plan. He can also hold up in the run game, also very stout in that regard. But Alfred Collins as well, man. He's big. He's huge. 6'5, 6'6, 330 pounds, but does not move like that. He kind of moves like CJ West, but at 6'5, 6'6, 330. I think I like the CJ West pick the most, but I think Alfred Collins might be the best pick out of all of them. And even Mykel Williams. I think Mykel Williams has a bit of a project as a pass rusher. I think he steps right in and he can set the edge. That's what we've all been talking about. But I think Alfred Collins can shake things up because I don't think that guy's going to move. I think he is going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And just like they talked about, he has the skill set. So if the 49ers can develop him as an interior pass rusher, bro, watch out. Like, Alfred Collins to me is everything that I think a lot of fans, wished Kinlaw could be. Because, I mean, this guy at 6'6", 330 pounds ran a sub 540, a 4.95. That's crazy. And he almost has 35-inch long arms. This guy is a load. He just got good feet, and he's got insanely long arms, and he's very strong. I like CJ West a lot. I like Alfred Collins a lot, but the combination of those two together on the interior, I think even as rookies could play massive, massive roles for the San Francisco 49ers. And Mykel Williams, you got Yetur Gross-Matos as well. Those are guys that could definitely fit into the mold as well. So it's going to be fun to see. How many rookies do I think start this season? I think CJ West and Alfred Collins, they're starters. That's what I believe. I think Nick Martin will definitely start either at will or Sam, but I do think he will play significant snaps. And I do think that Upton Stout will start at nickel. I think he immediately it's going to be between Upton Stout and Trey Brown. So that's really going to be the competition, I think, for the nickel. Is you also have Saran Neal in the mix and Trey Tomlinson. But I do believe that spot is going to come down to Upton Stout and Trey Brown. I like Upton Stout. I like Upton Stout quite a bit. I really liked him at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the guys that I came away really, really liking from that week in Mobile. And so I love the pick. I think Upton is a great player. And one of my favorite things was his draft call. You could sense the energy. You could sense the mentality. You could sense the guy is all gas, no brakes, right? Just like the mantra calls for. So I'm a big fan of Upton Stout. I think Nick Martin has a ton of upside. Jordan James is a very intriguing prospect. I talked about him as a twitchier Jordan Mason. So I'm very curious to see. I can't wait to get to training camp and see how these guys operate. Have I seen what Seahawks draft? Yeah, I saw that. I actually got a video coming. I was actually in the process of posting that. And then we got the news that the 49ers signed DJ Humphries. So, yeah, I saw that. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of God, he just signed today. I know his name. The safety that was coming out of Clemson, who was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, Isaiah. Oh, his name is escaping me. Isaiah. He just signed today too. I'm gonna see if I can beat the chat. No, dang it, I didn't. They got me. Isaiah Simmons, thank you. When Isaiah Simmons said, I was designed to stop players like George Kittle. And we were like, oh, where are you now? And I get what he was saying. But of course, we like to gas it up a little bit. And so he's like, oh, he's designed to stop George Kittle. We'll see. He gets drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. I remember George Kittle cooking him in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. We took that clip. We clipped those things together. Isaiah Simmons, I was designed to stop George Kittle. And then you got George Kittle cooking him. Nick Emanwari said something very similar about getting to play the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm actually going to probably be posting that right after this because it was pretty good. And you know what? I asked in the video, fair or foul with what he said. And I'm like, fair. It's fair, man. I love it. I love the talking right now going on between the 49ers and Seahawks. I love that they got a rookie coming in, already calling out the 49ers. I love it. They more trash talk. Like, these guys aren't friends. They might be friends off the field, but at the end of the day, I want them talking. I want them chirping each other. It makes it way more exciting. It makes the matchups way more fun. It gives us something to look out for. And for any players that might be watching this, it's low key a good strategy to get your name out there. Talk a little trash, get the fans hyped up about it, go out and back it up. You back it up. That's how you make your money. Just ask Diamondro Lenore. He's built his whole brand off talking like crazy and then going out and backing it up. That's why 49er fans love him. At this point, we're just like, say whatever you want, man. We don't care because we know you're going to go out and you're going to hold up your end of the bargain. So, yeah, we don't care, man. So yeah, I saw that. I'm actually going to be posting that here pretty quickly or pretty soon once I get off the live. But I do think that the San Francisco 49ers, as it stand right now, are absolutely a better team than they were headed into the draft. I think that when we look at the amount of players that they got, I could see the 49ers drafting at minimum 3 starters day one. I would say probably the max could be 5 starters. But I think it's more likely that it would be 3 starters day one, all on the defensive line. And then Nick Martin, Upton, Stout start as rotational. So they're guys that are kind of fed into the lineup. I don't know if Nick Martin is going to come out the gates beating D Winters, but I could see Martin overtaking Winters sooner rather than later. And then Upton, hard to count him out. Hard to count that guy out. So again, I think guys like Trey Brown will get the first opportunities, but then Upton will force them to play him. And that's kind of the way that I see it going down. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And again, just to recap. Oh, we also got Michael Williams' number today. I was about to post something, and for whatever reason, had a little voice in my head say, "Go see if Michael Williams' number dropped." And I'm like, "Okay." So I googled Michael Williams jersey, and then boom, popped up Michael rocking the number 98. Now it hasn't been made official, but the fact that it is being sold on the main Fanatics site for the San Francisco 49ers tells me that we're going to see Michael Williams rocking number 98 for the San Francisco 47. So you got bookends 97, 98, and I like it. I originally wanted him to rock the 99, but to be honest, I'm good with the 98. I wanted 99, 98. Those were the two numbers that I wanted him to angle for. I thought the 99 would look sleek, but I like the 98 too. Julian Peterson vibes, Ronald Blair vibes. Yeah, Blair's still on the roster. So we got at least one number for the Rooks. I would imagine we'll figure out the numbers here pretty soon for what jerseys they're going to be rocking. But it was, with George Kittle getting paid, it is now time to focus on Mr. Brock Purdy. And I would say that will probably be figured out here before OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So that's right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it's just a matter of time before the San Francisco 49ers get Brock Purdy paid. And it's going to be interesting for sure. I did see the thing about the new uniforms that came out during the draft. It just got lost in the wash. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think I was in the media workroom on live doing there were so many things I saw. They announced there's going to be some rivalry series jerseys. I'm looking for it. Looking forward to it. I'm absolutely down for any type of alternate jersey. So the 49ers will I don't know what it's going to look like. But we're going to find out. And we're going to see what's going to happen with that. And what about Fred Warner's contract extension? He's still got 2 years left on his deal from my understanding. So I don't think there's the same sense of urgency to get Fred done as both Kittle and Brock, who are in the final year, heading into the final years of their deal. So I think it's just a bit of a different situation. It is really what I think it comes down to. I think the 49ers want to be preemptive, kind of get ahead of it, potentially get ahead of the market. And I do believe that it'll happen. I just think it's just a matter of time before it all goes down. So, but again, the biggest priority is I would say if George or Brock weren't to get a contract extension, I don't know if it was going to go down or not. Looks like we just got a little bit of an update on Adam Schefter. Shout out to Coach Yak. He just posted this. He said, this is Adam Schefter on Brock Purdy's pending contract extension. Says right now a deal between Brock Purdy and the 49ers doesn't seem close. It feels more like a summer deal than a deal right now. However, both sides are confident that a deal can get done by the start of training camp or shortly after the start of it. Wow. I don't want that. That is not what we want. That is opposite of what we want. we don't want a Brock Purdy contract getting done uh in the middle of training camp. That sounds like a disaster with your quarterback. Because again, the leverage for the quarterback in this instance is a holdout. So is it going to hold in? Is it going to hold out? Brock strikes me as the hold in type, but boy, oh boy, man, we do not want this negotiation to linger over our heads into training camp. To me, that is the worst case scenario for this situation to occur. And we understand why. We have multiple years of data that explain why a contract negotiation that seeps into training camp is probably the worst case scenario. Because again, what ultimately happens in these scenarios? The player ultimately gets paid. They are completely beaten down emotionally and mentally. They're not prepared physically because they missed training camp, and it takes a solid half the year for them to catch up to speed. We do not want that to happen with the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. So there's plenty of precedent to speak to why going into into training camp with negotiation ongoing with your quarterback is an awful idea. But again, hey, the 49ers got George done. So I just hope that this, again, I hope it is not something that lingers. I hope it's something that is taken care of. I would much prefer Brock Purdy fully focused on the task at hand and get everyone complaining about his contract out of the way early in the offseason, and then just let the guy focus and let the guy go out there and work and let him get his mind right heading into the season and not drag this thing into the year when it needs to be fully focused on the task at hand. And the task at hand at that point should be getting better as a team and putting your best foot forward for the season to start so that you can go out and you can put yourself in a position to win the most games. That's what it's about. I get it. There's a business side to it. I totally understand. I definitely rationalize the business side of it. I get it. But again, not ideal. Not the ideal situation, man. So hopefully we'll see. That again was from Adam Schefter. Shout out to Coach Yak for pulling that. But hey, we shall see. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be, but hopefully, I'm gonna give Parag a little benefit of the doubt. You know, just got George done. I'm gonna give him a little benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give Parag a little olive branch. All right, Parag, you bought some time. You bought a little patience with me. Yeah, you got George done. Very appreciative of that. So let's see it play out. Let's see when we get to OTAs, mandatory minicamp. My blood pressure will probably start to rise again. about the contract situations, but as it stands right now, I feel pretty calm, not too stressed about Brock, and we'll give it some time. We'll give it some time as we get closer to OTAs and mandatory minicamp. And once we get on the other side of mandatory minicamp, then maybe my blood pressure will start to rise a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm just happy the 49ers got George Kittle done today. 49ers signed a new defensive tackle in DJ Humphries to come in and be a swing tackle. And I think today we did some good stuff. So we'll see how it goes moving forward with the Brock thing. And we'll kind of go from there. But shout out to everyone who tapped in for this one today. Do me a favor on your way out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Grab some cookies on your way out. And I will see you guys tomorrow unless more news drops that requires us to go live. But I'll be posting some content to the channel as well. So make sure you got post notifications on, all that good stuff. I appreciate y'all. And hey, new era of 49ers football underway, 2025 season fully in focus, and excited to see what we get here coming up. Appreciate y'all. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see